Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. My name is Steven and this is the Storytime channel. Today we have some malicious compliance stories and our first story of the day is by ZeroPenguinParty. You don't want me to do extra? Fine, I won't. What do crates of milk, a train/coach journey, 2 shopping trolleys full of waste, and unpaid overtime have in common? A great malicious compliance story from my days in supermarkets. At this time, I was a department manager in the 3rd biggest supermarket chain in the country. I knew how to do my job and do it well. And even though we were entitled to 4 weeks holiday every year, I only ever took 2. I'm that dedicated to my job. Anyway, I decided that I wanted to have my annual holiday, but made sure I gave plenty of notice to my store manager, about 3 months notice. In recent months, there had been a pretty big turnover of staff, so therefore anyone that was able to fill in for me was no longer there. On top of that, delivery schedules had changed, so as a result, I would often be coming in on an off day to do orders and do some general tidying up. Unpaid, of course, since this company absolutely hated paying overtime. I didn't mind, I was dedicated to my job. I asked my store manager, when I put in for my holidays, which were approved right away, who he would like me to train up to run the department while I was on holidays. He said we can wait until closer to the date. I was fine with that. I asked again about 2 months out and then 1 month out. Again, he said we can wait until closer to the date. 2 weeks before my holidays and I still had not trained anyone to cover for me. I started talking to one of my friends there who was keen on getting experience in other departments and started showing her a few things. It was about this time that the store manager started having to come in on my day off to do reports for head office. When he saw me in as well, he asked me to stop coming in and doing overtime. I said that I had to because of the delivery schedule, and he simply told me to do the orders earlier and that me coming in on my days off make his statistics look bad. I'm not getting paid, so what statistics? I then asked him about training someone, and he said, "So-and-so knows how to do orders, he can do it." This person had no idea how to do orders for my department. There were different systems and requirements to ordering. I said I would be happy to show someone, and he ordered me to go away. Fine. 1 week before going on holidays, I tried to sneak in to do the orders to comply with the delivery schedule. I was just about done when the store manager comes in. He sees me and calls me into the office. Once again, he says he doesn't want to see me in here on a day off, no matter what. He says when I get back from holidays, he is going to call in HR and says that there may be a warning go onto my file as a result. Again, a company complaining about unpaid overtime? I also mentioned that there is more to running my department than just putting an order into the system. There is calculating what to order, when to order, how to run specials on the right products, etc. And the store manager simply replies, "Anyone can do it, it isn't difficult." Fine, if he wants to be like that, I can be like that. Cue the malicious compliance. For the next week, I made sure there was absolutely no unpaid overtime. I clocked on exactly on time to the second and clocked off at the exact time to the second. If there was a late delivery that came in, and there were 2 large ones that did, I just left in the middle of the delivery. I told the duty manager what the store manager had said and just walked out. By the end of the week, day before my holidays begin, the store manager had me in his office wanting to know why I didn't look after the deliveries, and I told him what he said about the no unpaid overtime. He said I have responsibilities as a department manager and that I was neglecting them by not taking the deliveries. I turned around and asked him if he was going to pay me overtime, and he said no. I asked him if he was going to authorize unpaid overtime. He said no. So I asked him what I am supposed to do then, and he replied, "Your job," then told me to get out of his office. I finished for the day, glad to be on holidays. I only had a couple of hours to get home, change out of my work clothes, and head off to catch the train. I was traveling overnight. At around 3:30 a.m., I changed to a coach for the rest of my journey, getting to my destination at 5:30 a.m. I turned my phone on while sitting at the coach terminal, and almost immediately I have several messages from work. There was a message about a problem with the milk delivery. There was another message about a problem with the milk delivery. There was a message about a problem with the bread delivery. All things that could have easily have been sorted if I had been allowed to train someone. But I don't ring them back. I am on holidays, and if I ring them back to help them fix up problems, am I not technically doing unpaid overtime? Even if I am not on site, I am still doing my job essentially. A couple of days later, I check in with one of my friends at work just to see how things are going. They tell me the mess that my department and the whole store has suddenly become. We both laugh about it because we knew what was going to happen. She told me that they were getting a department manager from another store to come in to try and fix the mess, but she doesn't think it will help. My holidays finish and I go back to work, expecting a crap show. My second day back, the store manager has me in his office with someone from HR, and he already had a written report filed out. The area manager then comes into the office, sits down, and starts to talk. He wants to know why I let the department go the way it did. And then I told the area manager everything. I told him about how I was coming in to do unpaid overtime and was told to stop or I would get a warning. He asked about supervising someone so they could take over while I was on holidays. I told him that I repeatedly asked and the store manager didn't see the need. I was asked why I didn't answer any of my phone calls, and I again stated about the unpaid overtime doing my job and training someone to do my job. I was then asked to leave the office and go back to work. I don't know what happened after I left, but the store manager was rather cranky, especially towards me, for a couple of weeks. I never got a warning either. And just for the record, the cost of my malicious compliance is as follows. Extra wages for the people who had to come in to fix things up, nearly $1,000 of waste from the 2 shopping trolleys of goods that were never marked down, lost sales from lack of milk to sell, lost sales from the lack of bread to sell, $600 waste from wrong products ordered and couldn't be sold, lost sales from empty shelves. Let me ask you guys, because this is kind of a shock to me hearing this. Have you ever had a job that you loved so much that you would be willing to do unpaid overtime for? Let me know in the comments down below. I guess it just kind of comes as a shock to me that somebody working as a department manager in a supermarket actually loves it so much they'd be willing to come in and do a bunch of work for free. Our next story is by Jeff B94, Malicious Compliance, Wife Edition. This evening, we plan to have homemade burgers for dinner. Nothing special, just a beef patty, a bun, and some sweet potato fries to go with it. As my wife is leaving work, she texts and asks if I want anything to go on top of the burger. I replied, imagine the biggest, best burger ever. That. I was expecting some cheese, maybe some bacon as a little treat? Oh no. My wife comes home with cheese, bacon, onion rings, barbecued pulled pork, hash browns, chicken dippers, and caramelized onion chutney. Needless to say, I've learned my lesson. I would definitely say that wife is a keeper. That is a behemoth of a burger, absolutely, and it looks like it was an amazing meal. One of the best and most satisfying malicious compliances I've read. Our next story is by Nude V3D, As You Wish, Dear Student. I wasn't the one doing the malicious compliance, but I witnessed it all in first row. Yesterday, I had my algebra class as usual. It was the first class after one of the 4 big exams that the course has. The class started as usual, but then one of my classmates began to speak. Teacher, I have a few comments about the exam and I would like if you listen to me. Of course, Daniel. Let's call him that. Go ahead. Well, it happens that I think that it was really unfair. Also, the fact that you made us use the equation we created in the first question in the last one is just you trying to sabotage our work. At that point, the other students and I realized what was happening and many of us unmuted our mic to tell some sense into Daniel. However, when we started talking, the teacher just said, "Please stay quiet. I want to listen to what your classmate has to say about it." Then my classmate continued speaking. I don't really care how many years you've been giving this lecture, you don't teach nearly as much as you demand from us in the exams. Be clear, this was not constructive criticism, he was just being a despicable human being. Well, Daniel, I'm really sorry about this that you say. What can I do about it? What can you do? I'll tell you, just let us see the assessment paper. I don't really know what it is called, it's a piece of paper in which the teacher has all the students' names with the grades in front. So we all get to see how poorly you teach us, then you can do another exam that really fits your abilities as teacher. He said this completely confident that he just made the ultimate move to prove his point. The teacher just put his hands over his mouth and stared in the camera as my phone was ringing like a wasp nest with messages from various classmates discussing how crazy that scene was. As you wish, dear student, I certainly want to, he reached for the sheet, understand how it was possible for all your classmates to, welp. He showed the paper sheet with all our grades to the camera. Win with almost perfect scores, while you couldn't even get a 1.0? Everyone had gotten 4.5 to 5.0 scores in that exam. The best grade you can get is 5.0. And the classmate that was complaining got a 0.8. Needless to say, he didn't say any other word, and since that day, he has never joined another class session. I consider this to be a very humbling moment, hopefully, in that kid's life. Hopefully, going forward, they'll be able to take studying or whatever processes they need to retain the information a little bit more seriously. Maybe the method of teaching isn't the best for that kid, but that's something that they should privately try and contact the teacher about and not just call them out live on a Zoom call. Our next story is by Puckik47. Preschooler is learning malicious compliance early. My 3-year-old son kept playing with dental floss this morning. He is notorious for pulling out the whole darn thing in a spaghetti-like mess. My husband kept asking him to put said floss back in the drawer to prevent him from pulling it all out. I was being lazy on a Saturday morning. Later I popped up and he still had it in his hands, but he didn't pull out any floss, so I went back to sleep. My husband was also annoyed that he was still holding the floss. He opened his drawer and let out an amused chuckle. 3-year-old took out the whole spool, still neatly rolled up, and left it in the drawer. He was freely and delightfully popping just the case open and closed. He wins. I'm going back to sleep. Enjoy the sleep while you can get it. I'd be happy to just let them have the case and just flick that open all they want. Just don't ruin the floss and you're alright. You know it's bad when you gotta start safeguarding your dental floss. Our next story is by Snooppickle1731. Management complies with employees' demands. Reading some of these stories made me want to share this one that started out beginning of this year, 2020, and the after effects are still in play and will be felt till the end of the year. I work for a logistical company that specializes in the fast-moving consumer goods industry in New Zealand, and I am a semi-driver, truck and trailer, B-train, heavy goods vehicle, whatever it is called all over the world. We have about 55 drivers spread out over 2 shifts. Now, the salary is not top of the market, but the work environment and conditions is amazing. We have awesome management, and you could literally get away with just about anything, which is good for all the lazy and dumb ticks we have working here. We had an incentive scheme where we got paid a quarterly bonus of $250 just for looking after your truck, keeping it clean, no excessive speeding, etc. Beginning of the year, management decided to change the incentive and bonus scheme to a $50 weekly bonus, but there was a little more compliance required, which was part of our job anyway, like doing paperwork correctly, being punctual, etc. Now, immediately about 90% of the drivers were pissed off because the $250 quarterly bonus was taken away, $1,000 total per year, and the weekly bonus was brought in, $2,600 per year. That resulted in just about everyone having a kinda slow strike and purposefully clocking in late, not doing paperwork, etc. To give an idea how easy it was to comply, I did not change a single thing that I did before the new bonus came into play, and I have gotten my bonus every single week since it was implemented. Now about 3 months in, roughly by the end of April, things reached a peak. We were called in for a meeting and ripped a new one. The union got involved and the demand was made that no one was consulted about the change in bonus scheme, so they have to either change it back to the original quarterly bonus or the bonus has to be added in addition to the weekly bonus. Now the malicious compliance from management. As it's written in the contract, the bonus does not have to be paid out quarterly. It can be done annually as well, and as stipulated, you have to be 90% compliant in your driving, paperwork, etc. to get the bonus. And because almost everyone did not comply for almost 3 months, it disqualified just about everyone from getting the $1,000 bonus this year. People were pissed, but they only had themselves to blame. Another direct result of that was management was being way more strict with the non-complying drivers. Once again, no effect on the few of us that already complied. And within the next week, 7 of the worst drivers were let go for gross misconduct. I still laugh about it, thinking how dumb can some people be. So they take away a $250 quarterly bonus to implement a $50 weekly bonus that doesn't actually ask you to do any more responsibilities than you were already doing, and they complained about it? If you did simple math, you would realize that you were getting more than double the money from the $50 weekly bonus. They were all working for a logistics company. Yeah, they were the drivers, but still, you can't do simple math. It was a way more advantageous bonus and they screwed themselves out of it. It's not even that some of them can't do the basic math, it's that almost all of them were unable to do it. And word never got around that, hey, this would make you more money. And our final story of the day is by Galaxy Vixen. Wake you up so your food doesn't get cold? No problem, dear wife. So I had this coming and it's too late to change it now because I'm stubborn. My husband, being a sweet man like he can be, gets me food without me asking and gets my favorite things. Well, he mostly gets it while I'm knocked the freak out. I've woken up many times to cold food and room temp drinks. I appreciate the gesture, of course, but I told him I would like to actually eat my food while it's hot, so wake me up when he gets it, please. He's doing just that. I could have been asleep for 3 hours and he comes in waking me up for food. I can't entirely complain at him for waking me up because this is what I asked for. He likes to get really close to my ear and make psst, psst sounds and jostle me around until I'm sitting up and awake. Happened this morning. My eyes are darn near crusted closed most times and I want to cry, but at least I got hot food. It sucks, but in the end, you are getting a lot of stuff that you really like and it's hot and fresh and you didn't have to do any work for it. So I'd say that a loving husband, it's worth it, even though it does suck to be up and woken up like that. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So which of these stories was your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. But besides that, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing and turn notifications on if you haven't so you'll never miss an upcoming video. Any little thing that you do helps the channel grow so much more. Whether it's commenting, subscribing, or just watching the video, thank you all so very much for supporting me right here on the Storytime channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day and I'll see you all next time right here.